the Nikon Z6 or the Nikon Z5? That's a question on a lot of people's minds. So I would approach it not by comparing specifications, but rather I would approach it by looking at the specifications through the eyes of a prospective buyer. I will look at it from the point of view of someone who is looking to buy a Z5 and someone who's confused between the Z5 and the Z6. And then I look at it from the point of view of someone who is primarily looking at something like a Z6 and probably deciding between a Z6 and Z6 too. So I think price segment is what we're looking at. Now before I explain things, let me start with my conclusions. If you're someone who is looking to buy an entry level, if you're looking to buy your first entry level mirrorless camera, this is your first camera, or this is the first time that you're upgrading from an APS-C or a crop sensor camera to a full frame camera, if this is your backup camera that you're looking for and you have another main camera, and if you're a casual shooter, what is a casual shooter? Someone who uses the camera maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 times in a year, uses the camera for family occasions, get-togethers, for family events, or any of those things, or maybe you just go for those yearly trips and you take your camera out. If you're a shooter like that, then go for the Z5. However, if you are someone who has already experienced or used a full frame DSLR and you're looking to shift to a mirrorless camera for the first time, and you're going to put in some money in it and you plan to shift completely to mirrorless, if you're someone who's serious about hybrid shooting, if you're someone who is sort of have a business going on, a wedding photography business or some other portrait photography business going on, you feel the need for a full frame mirrorless, if you are someone who's serious about video, if you're someone who wants a camera and you're getting started with the camera, but however you have an ambition to create video content in future for yourself, so you want to grow with the camera. If you're the second group of people, then go for the Z6. Now let me talk about the fundamental difference between the Z5 and the Z6 and the reason why a lot of people are confused. It's the price. Right now on Amazon, the Z6 in US is $1,600 and the Z5 is about $1,400. So there is about $200 difference. Here is where things get a little complicated, and now let me explain to you why I concluded the way I have concluded. See, if you are going to use a camera for casual shoots or as a backup camera, the Z5 is perfectly good enough. It's a weather sealed full frame camera with a professional build quality. The grip, the ergonomics are very good. The sensor and the image output is good. Not as good as the Z6 or the Z6 II, but it's adequately good enough. The same quality that we are used to seeing in the D750, which is very high standard. It has got IBIS and 1/8000 of shutter speed, which is very rare for cameras in that price segment. So if you look at it, it's a complete camera. It really does not compromise in any big way, right? Except for in video and in sensor. It's not a big compromise. Let me explain to you. If you're someone who wants to grow with filmmaking, or maybe you've got a YouTube channel, you want to grow with it, and you want a camera that is ready as you grow, graduate towards making more difficult, taking up more complicated and difficult projects, then the Z5 will not simply not suffice. The reason is the Z5 will have a cropped 4K, which is not a problem, but it is not convenient. You need to have a wider array of lenses because all your lenses will have a shorter smaller field of view. The field of view will change. On the other hand, you only have 60p 1080, which is okay, but which is not 120p 1080. So there you have a bit of a compromise. The other area of compromise is actually in photography, and it's fundamentally the burst shooting. So if you look at a Z6 or Z6 II, they shoot up to easily up to 10 frames per second. Now the Z6 is no sports camera, but or action camera, but it's sort of in a controlled environment, when you're shooting portraits, or if you're a wedding photographer, when you get those moments, you'll get more sort of shots to, you'll have more shots taken from that moment. On a Z5, you have 4.5 frames per second, which is honestly speaking not bad, because most of the time when I'm looking for burst mode, I set it at 5 frames per second, because anything above that, you're taking too many shots and the card fills up too quickly. The frames are almost the same because you've taken the pictures so frequently, and then suddenly you have so many pictures to choose from, it gets a bit sort of, it becomes a headache. So I think 5 frames per second is quite manageable. So 4.5, 5, not much of a difference. So it's just the right sort of frames per second, according to me. So, but if you want to be happy with the knowledge that your camera can do 10 frames per second with autofocus and auto exposure, then you should go for the Z6. See, the fundamental big difference is essentially in the low light capability. Understand the Nikon files are extremely good. They pack in a lot of information, so you can recover a lot of information from those files. It's liberating because with a Nikon camera, you would like to underexpose and then play with the files. The problem is that the Z5 sensor is not a backside illuminated sensor. So in terms of real world performance, the amount of light gathered is a little less. About There's a one stop difference between the Z5 and the Z6. How does it play out? If it's evening and you have low light, and let's say you need to now bump up the ISO to be able to see the to be able to focus properly, because the Z5 and Z6, they are not very good low light focusing cameras. So you need to allow the camera to see a bit more, and you need to ensure that you do not go below 1.5, minus 1.5 exposure value. Now, the moment you're doing that and you're pushing the ISO to, let's say, 3200, you'll get a very similar autofocus performance out of both Z5 and Z6. But the file that you get out of Z6 at 3200 is going to be much better, cleaner than the file that you get out of the Z5. At around 6400 or uh, 8000 ISO, you might see significant color shifts. So that's a problem, right? You might not like the result coming out of the Z5 when you use higher ISO, and you're using higher ISO because you want to be able to focus more reliably. But none of these things will matter if you use a camera 5 times a year, or if you're just a travel photographer who's likely to shoot in normal conditions, normal lighting conditions. If you are looking at a first mirrorless full frame camera, this is a great camera to go with. It is only when you have a task, you have a job to finish, someone is paying you to do something, you want to be able to more confidently push the ISOs higher and still be able to focus and still be able to get very good files out of the camera. For that situation, you want to play a little safe and pay that $200 extra and go for the Z6. But if you already have a Z6, if you already have a D5, D850, then the Z5 is a great backup camera. It's a great introduction to the mirrorless system in the Nikon Z mount. If you are primarily an F mount shooter, and if you have a professional line of F mount lenses and F mount bodies, you want to just get started with the Z mount, Z5 is a great camera. If you feel confident, if you like what you're getting out of the Z system after having used the Z5, great, go for the Z5. It's a great backup camera. It's a great introduction to the system for a professional photographer. Otherwise, if you're going to rely on a Z camera, I would say first off, if you have the money, go for the Z6 II and the Z7 II. But if you don't have that money, and if you're choosing between the Z5 and the Z6, understand this: the Z6 has a lot more video capability. At $1,600, you're going to get something that can do 4K 1080 without any crop, and 1080 at 120 frames per second. But not only that, if you go for the software update and unlock the RAW capability of the camera, you get Blackmagic RAW, you get ProRes RAW, and that 12-bit. You also have 10-bit N-Log access to that. Of course, you will have to get an external recorder, which is another $500. But even totaling all this, it's going to come to around $2,250 for your Z6, which is rigged out with the external recorder, and you have raw recording capability. The things that you can do with it is a lot. Even if you're starting off small and you want to really grow as a filmmaker, or as a more capable hybrid shooter, what's going to happen is that you can really grow with the camera, and the camera has room. It will allow you enough room for it to grow into its fullest capabilities. So that's a great thing to actually buy into. Therefore, of course, then you also have the capability of shooting more confidently in low light situations, and you'll get slightly better colors in higher ISOs. Those things are really great. You get a top LCD panel, which is so useful at times. When you just look down, you can just look at your settings, you can look at how many shots you can still take, you could look at the battery life. Those things, even a quick glance at the essential information, that really helps at times when you are busy and in the middle of a shoot. So, all in all, if you are a professional and if you're going to rely on one camera, I would say pay that $200 and go for the Z6. And in time, when you have that extra money, pay for that $150 software upgrade and pay for that $500 Atomos Ninja, the external recorder, and get a proper video upgrade. But other than that, this camera is can be fully used as a professional camera. It's going to fail less frequently. It's going to frustrate you much less than the Z5 when you're pushing it. So there you go. That's the fundamental difference between the Z5 and the Z6. Having said all of that, if you're a professional shooter, and I said that you can confidently go for the Z6, understand the Z6 II is going to be much better. A software update is due on the 25th of February. It's going to make the camera at par with anything that's out there. So if you can put in a little bit more money, which is about $500 more, I mean, from Z5, and about, let's say, uh, $300 or $400 more on top of the price of the Z6, I think you should just go for the Z6 too. It's also going to have 4K 60, of course, cropped, but everyone has 4K 60 cropped in this price point. Now, everything that I have said so far is valid if there is no significant software update that improves the capability of the autofocus in the Z5, because Z5 is still a newer camera, and if they push a autofocus down to the Z5 and it significantly transforms itself, then you might not need to really push the ISO higher in low light situations, and you might get actually much better, more reliable autofocus out of the Z5 than you get out of the Z6. But we do not know that. We do not know when that is going to happen. I know that the next software update has been announced for the Z6 II and the Z7 II, not for the Z50, not for the Z5. I think Nikon, these entry level cameras, they're great cameras, but they're not considered, let's say, S line of cameras from Nikon. So what's happening, I think they're focusing on their flagships more, the current flagships more. They're focusing on software upgrades for those cameras than on the Z5. So I think you might not get a significant transformative firmware update coming for the Z5. So, and if that doesn't happen, everything that I've said is valid. Please subscribe. See you soon. Thank you.